Hello folks, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In this video, we will be discussing a current affair topic presented to you by your faculty Sushma KP. So what is the topic that we will be looking into today? Kurds and the Iran war, why they matter? See, it's been since almost 8 days that your US and Israel have started attacking Iran and it has entered into the 8th day of war. There has been new stories coming in into the West Asian background, and the very latest is the target and entry of Kurds into this. See, first and foremost, there has been certain reports that claim that US President Donald Trump has called the Kurds to join in the operation against the Iranians. Understanding? Now, this, if it happens, that is, if the Kurds do join against the Iranian operations, then the conflict would have a spread which would be much more than your West Asia alone. The spillover effect will create such regional instability that it will send global shockwaves around the world. So, who are these Kurds? Why are their entry into the West Asian conflict further going to create the instability in the West Asian region? See, first and foremost, if you see, Kurds are one of the largest ethnic groups who do not have a country. Understanding? Now, they are one of the largest ethnic groups whose population ranges above around 30 million in population. Now, if you see, they are not focused in just any one country, but they are spread around multiple countries. Which countries are they? For example, your Turkey, Iran, Iraq, Syria. Understanding the largest of the Kurd population is in your Turkey region. They largely operate towards your western regions. Now, one more thing, if you see about your Kurds is they have been fighting for an independent country or a homeland. But look at the aspect here. They have been fighting for an independent country or a homeland called Kurdistan. But if they have to be uniting and be called as Kurdistan, that means all the places they are focused in will be all taken and then a country will be created, which means from which countries the lands will go? Turkey, Iran, Iraq, Syria. Now, these countries do not favor the creation of this separationist movement because it will happen within their country. Understanding? So, that is why I say they're one of the largest ethnic groups without a country. Now, as of today, does something like Kurdistan, an independent country, exist? No. But still, they are in the hopes of that one day they will get, and they are moving towards getting an independent country. Where exactly do they live? They live largely in the mountainous areas of your West Asia, and they are morely focused in your Turkey. The largest of your Kurdish population is in your Turkey. Next is in your Iraq, where in Iraq, if you see, it's in northern Iraq where they have a semi-autonomous region. Okay. Then in Iran, about 9 million Kurds live in your western Iran. In Syria, the scenario is so much so that the Kurds control almost the entire parts of northeastern Syria. Okay, because of their cross-border spread, it becomes very difficult in order to integrate them, and also this creates a geopolitical problem. Now, see how they are spread around. See, now this is the junction they are in. But if all of this has to be united into a single country, which means all of these people would lose parts of their territory. Yes, that is what makes this a little bit more challenging because the countries are not supporting the formation of your Kurdistan because that would lead to your ethnic instability, separationist movements, etc., in their respective countries. Now, in Iraq, Kurdish autonomy is there because they have created something called as Kurdistan region. In this Kurdistan region, they have been able to a large extent, maintain autonomy. Why? Because of your Post Gulf War, it was formed. Now, in this particular region, they have their own parliament, they have their own security forces. To a large extent, they also enjoy political autonomy. Understanding? Their military force is called as Peshmerga. Understanding? Now, let's speak about your Kurds in Iran. Let's come back to the issue at hand. What is it with your Kurds and Iranians? See, your Kurds have, if you see, in Iran alone, right now, around 9 million population live in your western Iran. The Kurds are one section who have, okay, fought against your Iran both during your Islamic revolution and before the monarchy of your Shah dynasty also. So they have fought during both times. Their areas are bordering your Iraq and Turkey, and they are also known for long rebellions with the Iranian regime, be it post your 1979 or before that of your Shah regime. And also, your several Kurdish political groups are operating in exile from your northern Iraq in these regions. Many of them still maintain more of your armed militias also. What is the Kurdish opposition in Iran? First thing is their main goal is to overthrow the Iranian government. See, what they tell is your Kurds that if the attack from your US and Israel keeps continuing on Iran, then the regime will start to weaken. If the regime starts to weaken, then the time will ripen for your mass struggle to fight against your regime. If this happens, then the regime with weakened power will be easier for the other forces to take over. Understanding? In that, one of the important leaders is your Abdullah Mohattadi, where they have called for the union of majority of the Kurdish groups to form into one particular Kurdish party. So this would give them a significant leverage than divided parties that they are as of now. Now, why could the entry and involvement of Kurds in Iran change how the pace of your Iran war is going? Like I mentioned, your USA and its ally Israel have started an attack, a joint attack on your Iran. It started from your February 28th onwards. So we have entered into formally 8th day of war right now we are in. Now, in this point of time, how it is happening means US and Israel are hitting at many of the bases. They have killed the supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. All this is happening on one side means how is your Iran retaliating means Iran is hitting all the bases of USA in the Gulf region. Understanding this is happening on one side. Now, if the Kurds enter into the equation, then your Iran has to face with your internal fight coupled with your external fight. This would make it very difficult for your Iran because of a creation of new front, which would be internal insurgency. Understanding? So this would weaken Iran from within. Second thing is your Kurd and Kurdish regions, wherever they have a geographical advantage because they operate in mountainous regions, which becomes very difficult to control. Understanding? And third most important thing is your many of the Kurdish fighters people have been associated with Syrian civil war, battle against ISIS, regional insurgencies. So they have the experience in this, and also let's assume that support comes from your USA. This would further aid in their intelligence and military support. Now, your Donald Trump has asked Kurds to join the operations against your Iranian regime. Now, does that mean US and your Kurds have a good relationship? Does USA support the concept of Kurdistan? See, one thing about your USA is you can never expect complete stability from USA in the support ocean. It always does. That's true of any country. Every country follows policies which is suitable for its national interest. If you say the one with your USA and Kurds, it is more of a complicated one. There is a lot of trust deficiency also there. How, for example, in 1975, your US President Gerald Ford did not support your Kurds against the Iraqi attack. In 1988, US President Ronald Reagan did not intervene when your Iraqi forces were using chemical weapons against the Kurds. In 1991, US President George H.W. Bush encouraged the Kurdish uprising, but he did not support them. Understanding? So they're using these people for their advantage. But significant aid has not been done much. But yes, they did encourage the uprising, but they did not fully support them in 1991. Next is during your Syrian civil war. See, very recent date is your US President Donald Trump who is telling the Kurdish forces to join. So much so that the beginning of this year, January pay, when your Syrian forces were taking over the regions of your Kurds, which was secured from a Syrian civil war, US President Donald Trump did not intervene. Understanding? So there is a lot of mistrust and trust deficiency which is there on your issues of US and Kurds. What exactly do the Kurds want? They want an independent country of Kurdistan. They seek political autonomy, cultural rights, self governance, protection from repression. But your neighboring countries, like I told you, Turkey, Iran, Iraq, Syria, they themselves do not support your separate country. Because, again, why? Separationist movement will start within their own country. So, the Kurds getting involved into the Iran war might lead to regional escalation because it will automatically draw Iraq and Syria because your Kurds are spread around in your Iraq and Syria. So it will have a huge spillover effect. And also this will lead to a lot of internal instability in Iran with the new front opening from your internal insurgency. This will also put pressure on Iraq because of your Kurds operating from Iraq. Lastly, many your global powers will start separating different regional groups. Okay. So now with all this going on in West Asia, how would it affect India? First and foremost, India is very closely monitoring what is the situation and ground level realities in your West Asia. And the concerns for us would be with respect to energy security. We are a country that import more than 90% of our energy needs. And also majority of our Indian diaspora is spread around in your West Asian countries. The safety and security of them also becomes important. Another most important thing from diplomacy is strategic balancing. India tries to strategically balance your Iran, Israel, USA. So this also comes in into your relation with respect to trade routes and maritime security, especially with the Strait of Hormuz, which is now being held by your Iranian forces. Okay, so all these will be involved with the entry of your new front if Kurds are to enter. With this, we come to the end of the content. If you like our content, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, share it along with your friends. Thank you.